G'day guys, and welcome to the VEMA Trader Start Charting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to explain to you guys the Start Charting screen, which is probably the one that you're going to spend the most time on in VEMA Trader because it is where you do your technical analysis, it is where you set up your trades, and it is where you submit those trade setups. So, the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you're on the exchange that you want to be trading. We have a number of exchanges integrated with VEMA Trader. We have both crypto and forex exchanges and a variety of both of those. So make sure you're on the exchange that you want to be trading. In this case, I'm going to stick with the Concept Trader demo. Now you can set a custom default exchange in the My Account section under customization. So just head there to do that. The next thing you want to do is make sure that you're on the symbol that you want to be trading. And there's a few ways you can get to those symbols. So I'm currently on the US 500. If I wanted to trade, let's say Euro USD, I can simply just type and VEMA will filter based on what I've typed. You can also see that I have favorited Euro USD. It's got that little star beside it. So let's say I also want to favorite Euro AUD. I can just click that star and you'll see that if I don't type anything, all of my favorited pairs appear at the top. So to get to Euro USD, all I have to do is click on that and VEMA will take me straight to it. Now, the next thing is I would be doing my technical analysis. So let's say that I wanted some more screen real estate. I felt like this left panel was getting in my way a little bit. I can compress it by clicking this left arrow. You'll see it then disappears and we can bring it back later. Now, if you've ever used TradingView, then you should be very familiar with the chart within VEMA Trader because it is powered by TradingView. So, all of the most common TradingView tools are here. You've got all your horizontal lines, trend lines, etc. Fib tools, risk to reward tools, patterns. Basically, the vast majority of TradingView's tools are there. I can change my time frame along the top. I can favorite those time frames. I can also favorite those tools. So you will see that I have a bunch of these favorited and they appear in my favorite toolbar up here. Can change my time frame, can change my chart type. I can add indicators. I can use chart templates, which I've got a bunch set up. And I can use the object tree, which I find very useful. So, if you have used TradingView at all, you should be very familiar with this screen. Now, if I want to set up a trade, what I want to do is bring back this panel. So I'm going to go down to the 15 minutes because it looks like we have a nice bear flag forming there. Now, there's a couple of different ways to enter trades within VEMA Trader. So you can see the first thing is order type. So I've got market, pending, or trigger. So a market entry is when I want to enter the market immediately. I can simply select market and then either long or short. Then all I have to do is drag my take profit and stop loss and I am good to go. I can enter this trade and will just enter me at the market price. If I wanted to paper trade, I could simply select paper and then rather than VEMA placing this on my actual Concept Trader demo account, I'm just going to take this as a paper trade and it's going to track that data for me. I'm still going to collect all the same data that I would have originally. So this is great for testing out new strategies, for trading exchanges that you might not have an account with, for testing out new symbols that you maybe have never traded before and want to practice trading on without actually risking real money. Paper trading is what you want. If you want to be risking and hopefully making real money, live trading is the thing to select there. So a market entry, again, just gets me into the market straight away. Whether long or short, as soon as I hit that enter now button, VEMA is going to enter this position at the current price. Now, a pending order. So pending orders are extremely useful for setting horizontal orders at certain prices. So let's say that I wanted to buy sell if price comes up to this resistance level. All I have to do is select my direction as short, drag this order to where I want it to be, or I can type the entry price over here and VEMA will handle the rest. So you can see it's similar to a sell limit order because what VEMA is going to do is place a sell limit on MT4 so that if price gets up there, my limit will fill. And again, I can just drag my take profit and stop loss to be wherever I wanted them to be for that setup. You'll notice that if I drag my indicative entry below current price, VEMA will actually switch that to a sell stop order because I've told VEMA that I want to go short. And if I am shorting from below price, a stop order is what I need to use. If I switch to a long, you'll see this will switch to a buy limit. And if I drag that back above, you will see that switches to a buy stop. So VEMA automatically handles the order type for you. All you have to do is select your direction and drag the entry to where you want it to be. Now, the third order type is trigger. So triggers are quintessential VEMA, right? Originally, we only had triggers. Triggers are trend lines that you can use to take trades with very specific and very powerful strategies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this bottom line of my bear flag. And then I can add a trigger. So you can see I've got my alpha trigger here. Now, there's a few things I can do with this alpha trigger. So I want to add a setup, right? I want to take a trade off this trigger. So I click add. Now I can again choose paper or live, choose my direction. So this is a bear flag. So maybe I want to get into this trade if this bear flag breaks down. So I'm looking for a short. In that case, my strategy is going to be cross because I want to enter when price crosses this alpha trigger. Now we have conditions, so you can really automate your trade entries here. So let's say that I only wanted to get into this trade if price broke below alpha and closed there. Then I can add the operate on candle close. If I wanted to know that volume was increasing on the candle that broke alpha, I could also add the volume increasing. I could add an expiry date to say, okay, I only want to get into this trade by the 21st of September 23, 7:15. So I add my expiry date, I drag it on the chart, and then if price has not broken alpha, so let's add my operate on candle close. If price has not closed below alpha by the time price gets to this expiry date, then VEMA will terminate this trade plan for me. So instead of it monitoring forever and potentially entering after this pattern has not played out, I know that this will only enter if it occurs before my expiry date. If I don't want VEMA to enter this trade for me, if I just want to be notified when price does close below alpha, I can add the alert only condition. And what that will then do is ensure that if price closes below alpha, I will get an alert. So say I'm looking for a specific candlestick pattern, I can get my alert, come back, make sure that occurs, and then enter that trade myself. Now it's important to note that operate on candle close will work on the time frame that you submit the trade on. So if I'm on the 15 minutes and I submit this trade, it's only going to send me that alert, if I do tick alert only, if price closes below alpha on the 15 minutes. If I switch my time frame to the 4 hour and submit, it's going to alert me if price closes below alpha on the 4 hour. So if a 4 hour candle closes below alpha, only then would VEMA send me that alert. So that is the cross strategy. Really, really useful for if you want price to cross your trigger and continue in that same direction. So you can see I've got this indicative drawing, right? This path tool that shows me where I'm expecting price to go. I'm expecting it to cross alpha and keep going. Let's say instead that I was expecting price to bounce, right? Come down to the bottom of our bear flag and then bounce up to our 4 hour resistance. Well, in that case, I can select a bounce trade. Now, because it's short, that arrow looks a bit funny, but when I change it to a long, which is what I've drawn up, you will see that it makes a lot more sense. Let me just get rid of my drawing. Beautiful. So, the bounce strategy. So this is really useful for when you're looking for price to go to a specific trigger and then move away from that trigger. So you can see right now, I'm seeing price should come back to alpha and then bounce. So there's a bunch of conditions I can also add to the bounce strategy. So the first is distance to activate. Now I like to think of this as, that tool gets me every time, I like to think of this as like a buffer, right? It helps you avoid getting front run. So if I don't know if price is going to come right to my alpha, I can give a little bit of a buffer. So let's say something like 0.01, because we're on the 15 minutes. They're all quite small percentages, especially because we are on Forex, Euro USD. They are small moves. But you can see now that has given a little buffer. Where is my tool? A little buffer of 0.01%. So what would happen now is if price moved to within 0.01% of alpha, my distance to activate would be met. Now, if I didn't have the operate on candle close enabled, that would be all it takes to enter this trade. Because if price gets within 0.01% of alpha, all of my conditions are met and then would enter me into this position. But if I wanted to get some more confirmation, I can add the distance to confirm. So if I want my bounce to be confirmed, I can add a distance to confirm, let's say 0.02, or actually let's go 0.04. So what has to happen now is that price has to come to within my distance to activate of 0.01% of the alpha trigger. Remember, that is always key, of the alpha trigger. Then it has to bounce 0.04% from alpha, where it will then meet my distance to confirm. And if both of those things are to happen, VEMA will then enter me into this trade. My entry conditions have been met. That bounce has occurred. VEMA has seen that bounce occur. and that entry will be automatic. So I can set this up right now. I can go to bed. This might happen overnight. As long as those conditions get met, then will enter me into this trade. If those conditions don't get met, there'll never be a trade taken. Now I can also add the operate on candle close. So if I wanted price to have to go 0.04% from Bravo and then close there before VEMA would enter me into that trade, I can just add the operate on candle close. And if I wanted to say, okay, if this starts to break down, right, get me out of this trade, I can add a distance to invalidate. So let's say 0.03%. What that will do is if price goes 0.03% to the wrong side of alpha, so in this case we're long, if price goes 0.03% to the short side, so below alpha, VEMA will then terminate this trade plan similar to the expiry date previously. The final strategy is the break and retest. So let's go back to a short and again look for our bear flag, and we're going to go with, let's say, 0.03 for the distance to break. We'll keep the same distance to activate, the same distance to confirm. So what the break and retest is really useful for is when you want price to break a level, come back and retest it, and that is when you would get into that trade. So it is almost like a combination of the cross and the bounce strategy. Price has to cross your trigger first. So in this case, we have the alpha trigger. Price needs to cross it and close 0.03% below. That's the distance to break we've set. Once that occurs, price comes down, closes 0.03% below alpha. Then we'll then start monitoring for the distance to activate. So if price then came back and retested and moved to within 0.01% of the alpha trigger, my distance to activate would be met. Then, because I have this distance to confirm, price would have to move 0.04% away from alpha again, confirming that break and retest, right? It gives me that confirmation that price has rejected from that alpha trigger. And then because I have the operate on candle close, again, it would have to close at least 0.04% from alpha after those other conditions had been met before VEMA would enter me into this trade. So you can see that these strategies are really, really powerful for being able to automate your entries. You can really make sure that if and only if your conditions are met, VEMA will enter you into this trade, and until they're met, you can just set and forget. You can walk away from the computer. VEMA's not going to do anything until your very specific entry conditions have been met. So for a super quick recap of the entry types, if you want to enter the market immediately, a market entry is your best friend, whether you're going long or short. If you want to get in at a specific price, you want to use a pending order. Let's go for that short from resistance. Would look something like that. Pending order will do that for you. A pending order will get you in at a specific price. It is a horizontal limit or stop order. A trigger is for when you really want to have control over your entry. It's when you want to set up either a bounce, a cross, or a break and retest, and any of those conditions to really automate that entry process. Once you have your trade set up, super important, you want to click the big blue either submit or enter now button, depending on the order type that you have used. So hopefully that helps explain the start charting screen to you guys. I know the conditions can seem quite complicated. They aren't necessarily complicated, they are extremely powerful, but it can take a little bit to wrap your head around, so I will link the entry conditions article in the description of this video. And if you are feeling a bit overwhelmed by them, start small. Just start with one condition, make sure you understand it, then move on to adding more and more conditions so that you can really automate those entries to take place while you are focusing on the things that really matter. Sleeping, hanging out with family and friends, whatever you want to be doing with your life, VEMA helps you get that time back. Have a great day, happy trading, and I will see you guys in the next video.